We also got a £2 super chat from TFL Creative Media. £2 to say, have you heard anything about the 14th announcement? So the 14th Doctor's announcement. I haven't heard anything personally, of course. I do not have scoops or anything on the inside, unfortunately. But we did get this article from Liz Mazimba just after Legend of the Sea Devils was broadcast. Doctor Who former companions to join Jodie Whittaker's farewell. So this is just talking about the details of the upcoming centenary special. The Master, Sacha Dhawan, famous foes, Daleks and Cybermen. The news of Tegan and Ace returning, once again played by Janet Fielding and Sophie Aldred. They're going to be returning in the centenary special. But there was this little sentence at the very end, just, you know, casually just to one side at the bottom. Her replacement as the Doctor is expected to be revealed in the coming weeks. Now, I have a feeling that this is just Liz Mazimba just sort of assuming here. Just, it's going to happen eventually at some point, probably in the next few weeks. That makes complete sense to me. I don't know if Liz Mazimba has any sort of inside scoop there. It wouldn't surprise me if we did learn something over the next couple of weeks, just let Legend of the Sea Devil stand on its own, wait for the Easter rush, shall we say, and then see how we go. However, the viewing figures for Legend of the Sea Devils might actually end up influencing how the next Doctor, the 14th Doctor, gets announced. Once again, Liz Mazimba on Twitter letting us know how Doctor Who did on the Easter Sunday. Last night's Doctor Who Easter special had an overnight audience of 2.2 million, making it the 11th most watched programme of the day, was beaten by Antiques Roadshow on BBC Two with 2.26 million. That was on at the same time as Doctor Who. For younger audiences, was tough for Doctor Who going up against Britain's Got Talent, which won the night with 5.2 million. So Britain's Got Talent Doctor Who, Legend of the Sea Devil started at like 7:10. Britain's Got Talent started at like 7:30. However, according to Lizzo, the Doctor Who figures were pretty consistent throughout. There wasn't a drop-off when Britain Got Talent started 20 minutes into the episode. So people didn't start watching Legend of the Sea Devils and then 20 minutes in thought, this is rubbish, we'll turn off and then watch Britain's Got Talent instead. Apparently, the audience that started watching Legend of the Sea Devils stuck with Legend of the Sea Devils throughout, according to Liz Mazimba. But he says a good figure for The Thief, His Wife and The Canoe on ITV, which had BARB overnight audience of 4.71 million. So that was like ITV's drama for that evening. Now, people will often say, Mr. TARDIS, you are such a shill for the BBC. Mr. TARDIS, you don't know anything and you're just going to be positive or whatever. I like to think that I just go with the numbers and take me to the conclusions that the number takes me. But I will say this is the line where this is a bad result. This is a bad result. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no trying to finagle your way around rhetoric here. Being the 11th most watched program of the day in and of itself is a bad result, but being beaten at the same time slot by Antiques Roadshow, which was a repeat. This wasn't a brand new episode of Antiques Roadshow. This was a repeat. Astonishingly enough, also astonishingly, what the fudge? Okay, Samuel, £249.99 super chat. Excuse me? Class video was great and worth the wait, Mr. TARDIS. Hope to see more retrospective potentially. But yeah, thank you. I'm really glad you enjoyed the class video. In terms of retrospectives, I'd like to do more like history of Doctor Who stuff. For example, with Tegan and Ace returning, I'd like to maybe do a video talking about like who is Ace, who is Tegan. So retrospectives like that I think would be really, really cool. Maybe do something for Doctor Who spin-offs as well. I started watching the K9 spin-off, the Australian K9 spin-off. That's a wild series, so maybe something about that. But yeah, so retrospectives, hopefully something more in line in the future. We'll have to, of course, see how the class video does once it goes on YouTube proper. But Samuel, thanks so much for the astonishing donation. Thank you so much. Anyway, so yeah, there's no sugarcoating this number, unfortunately. Now, what we need to talk about, like, I know that a lot of people are just going to watch people like Nerdrotic or Heels vs. Babyface and just sort of take their word on the viewing figures. Now, first things first, those folks have no idea what they're talking about in almost any capacity, particularly viewing figures. But like I said, this is not a good result. Being beaten by a repeat of Antiques Roadshow when this is the Doctor Who blockbuster Easter special is not a good result. It's hard to say exactly what's happened during... like, exactly what's happened to give it this number, because, like, was it the fact that there was very little marketing? Was it, you know, this was seen a bit like Eve of the Daleks as disposable, and it was also disposable because the current era is coming to an end. You don't really need to watch this one. You'll watch the Regeneration, but you don't really want to watch the Sea Devil story. Was maybe the subject matter of Madam Ching, Chinese pirates, just something that people didn't really get into? But what you need to talk about when it comes to Doctor Who viewing figures, and this is not a defense, like I said, 2.2 million, 11th most watched of the day. 11th most watched of the week would be a ho-hum result. 11th most watched of the day is a bad result. We do have the 7-day results, maybe on demand. Maybe people are going to start watching on demand, maybe because Britain's Got Talent, or maybe it was really good it was really good weather on Easter Sunday, so people might just check it out there on repeat or on demand or whatever. But you need to take into account the actual competition. So the ceiling, as we call it, the most amount of drama viewers for that day was for ITV for The Thief, His Wife and the Canoe with 4.71 million. That is your ceiling. The fact that Doctor Who didn't even come close to that ceiling is very disappointing. For example, the last Doctor Who Easter special was Planet of the Dead in 2009, and that got overnight viewing figures of around 10 million on BBC One and BBC One HD combined. And even though it got 10.1-ish, 10.2 million, it was not the most watched programme of the day. Believe it or not, it was bested by Britain's Got Talent. So that was the Easter ceiling back in 2009, around 10.2 million, whereas the ceiling this time was around just under 5 million, 4.5 million, shall we say. And the fact it didn't even come halfway to that, that is a disappointing result. You don't really get anywhere when talking about Doctor Who viewing figures or TV viewing figures generally, when you compare it to something from like 10 or 15 years ago. That doesn't really do you much. For example, was Series 2 or Series 3 of Doctor Who a massive flop because it did not best Tom Baker's Season 17 viewing figures of like 15 to 16 million? No, of course not. It's different markets. It's different. If you go into lambast Doctor Who viewing figures, all I ask is that you do it properly. You do it with the appropriate context, you do it with the appropriate competing numbers, and that you do it whilst also acknowledging that Doctor Who has one more special left, which will probably do better than this in the overnight, although this, I believe, is the lowest overnight figures of the revived series. We'll see how the 7 days do. Even Eve of the Daleks got like 3.2 million on New Year's Day. I think it was like the 5th or 6th most watched of the day as well. But it was going up against significantly tougher competition. So yeah, disappointing numbers, absolutely disappointing numbers. But I do look forward to seeing how they pan out over the next 7 days and the next 28 days. Tune in onto the live streams in the coming weeks and months, and we'll break those down proper. Also into the lead up of the Centenary special. Ishan DW says, would 3 million have been good? If it had got 3.1 to 3.2 million, it would have been on par with Eve of the Daleks. Not a great result, but, you know, that's kind of like the floor of Doctor Who viewing figures. But now we've discovered, after Eve of the Daleks, the floor is a bit shallower than we thought it was before. Disappointing that this happened to something like Eve of the Daleks, you can kind of interpret as maybe a little bit throwaway. Because, like, you know, New Year's Day, bottle episode, low budget, time loop story, you know, but this was the swashbuckle your seatbelt, Sea Devil Return, epic blockbuster story. It's disappointing that that did even lower.